Hello there, my name is Marianela Caballero, and this presentation is stress management for adults. So I'm going to be focusing on all adults, whether you're a parent or not parents, but anybody who has been struggling managing stress, particularly during the times of COVID. But in reality, a lot of the strategies and the signs that I'm going to be talking about can be applicable to any stressful situations. So whether you're going through a lot of changes in your personal life, maybe job loss, perhaps moving, or maybe struggling with just managing your own stress with work-related issues or relationship problems. So a lot of the management techniques that I'm going to be addressing are going to be helpful to you at any given time. I'm going to start sharing my screen, so give me just 1 second while I switch. Okay, so in talking about stress management, we come across different topics, and the most important one that I find that all of us really need to focus on is what are the signs of stress? Each one of us have different ways to cope with stress, or our body will show us different ways that we are stressed. And sometimes it's our body that gives us the signs of stress before anything else. And so these are the most common signs of stress that we will find. So we will find sleep disruption. And what I mean by sleep disruption, it could be anywhere from sleeping too much or too little. A lot of people who are stressed will describe waking up throughout the night or not getting a good solid 6 to 8 hours of uninterrupted sleep, which is critical. If we are waking up throughout the night, that is considered sleep disruption. Also, I have people on the complete opposite, where they're sleeping way too much because they're so physically exhausted and strained that they sleep too much, or they're finding themselves napping throughout the day. Also considered sleep disruption. Sometimes people will describe nightmares. So very vivid nightmares where they feel like it's part of their reality, and they really have a hard time falling asleep for fear that they're going to have a lot of these nightmares. So the eating habits, and I think throughout the pandemic, I think that was one of the most common indicators of stress. It could have been stress and it could have been boredom. We really don't know. But usually our eating habits are indicative of where we are regarding stress. So typically people who are stressed out will have a very defined change in their eating habits. So they will describe things like they're just sitting and eating and eating and eating in front of the TV, not really paying attention to what they're eating or how much they've been eating. So sometimes our anxiety will kick in, and food is so comforting for so many of us. So a constant consumption of something is very comforting for a time being. So it's a short-lived temporary comfort, but that could also lead to other problems. And some other people will, again, be on the opposite side of the spectrum. I know that when I have and experience a lot of stress, my body shuts down and I just don't feel that appetite. So a lot of the times it could be something like, oh, I'm not hungry, skipping a lot of meals, not eating very well, which is also not a healthy thing. People who are under a lot of stress find themselves physically exhausted. So they might have slept their 6 to 8 hours, but they will describe waking up in the morning still feeling like they didn't get enough sleep. And that is also a sign of stress because the body is so worn out that it needs to really recuperate. And no matter how much you sleep, it's just not enough. So feeling physically exhausted all day without really having to have had like a workout or a busy day, they just describe feeling physically drained. Muscle aches and pains are very common as well. A lot of people who are stressed will have a lot of stress and muscle aches and headaches, their muscle aches in their shoulders and their back. So it could be a little combination of the physical exhaustion, the not sleeping well at night, and then just having that tense stand, either, when they're sitting or wherever they're at, and not being able to really relax their muscles. We talk about gastrointestinal issues, so stomach aches, just changes in their digestive system, headaches, explosive anger, so really short fuse, unable to control your mood, and sometimes, road rage, you're driving and then you just start getting really angry, or maybe you're snapping at your children a lot more frequently than you normally would. So very short fuse, again, irritability, and different mood swings. So you go from happy and excited to sad, angry, frustrated, and so your moods are just fluctuating constantly. Withdrawn behavior, so that means that you want to spend a lot of time by yourself, so you avoid family reunions, you don't engage with your friends as you used to. And even during the times of COVID, I understand that there's not a lot of socializing going on, but I'm even talking about picking up the phone and calling a friend, or having those family members who are also safe family members, or being in your room and not wanting to go out of your room, or feeling that you're just not good company, that you just feel like, I just don't feel like talking. I don't feel like being around anybody. And so that negative attitude is really a dark cloud over your head, and you really don't feel like just, being around and engaging with other people. People who are stressed out will describe inability to think clearly. So they have a lot of thoughts and they struggle to organize their thoughts well, and particularly with work, or maybe you're finding yourself driving and then you forget where you're going to, or you make lists of things that you need and then you forget your list, and then you're at HEB and you forget what you went there for. Although I know that's really common, but I'm talking about constant inability to think clearly, easily distracted. So you might have a conversation with somebody and then forget what they said, or what were we talking about. So a lot of that difficulty in following a conversation. And finally, you have depressed mood or anxiety. So stress can really take a toll on the body and the mind and our emotions. So if we do not address a lot of these issues, things can get very serious. So what can we do? So this is the most important part of the presentation. What are we going to be able to do in order for us to relieve some of this stress? So one of the major things that I have found, and there's like this fantastic documentary regarding social media, and it really talks about the importance of taking frequent breaks. A lot of the time, social media, Facebook, Instagram, Snapchat, TikTok, the constant bombardment of information in high loads and dosages throughout the day can really be taxing to the body. So take a break from the social media. Make sure that you disengage for a little bit and communicate with people who are in front of you, or connect on the phone with an individual that you can truly engage with. Social media is not necessarily engagement. It's coming at you at one direction and in high volumes, right? So if we think about TikTok and how you're scrolling and it's video after video after video, and they're very short, 15 seconds, 30 seconds, a minute, but it's a lot of information that's coming at you. Make the time to exercise. I tell all of my clients that one of the best gifts that you can give your body is exercise. Now, a lot of us might be thinking, I am not an athlete. I am not here to be, a basketball player or a runner or a cyclist. That's not what I'm talking about. We need to give back to our bodies. Make the time to exercise. Take a walk outside. Stretch your body. Practice the breathing exercises of really feeling, that agitation, but controlled, right? When we are stressed, we could be sitting and having those palpitations or the difficulty breathing, and we're sitting down. So we're very sedentary. When we're exercising, we are teaching our body that we are in control of our breathing, of our muscle movement. Make the time to exercise. Whatever it is that you choose to enjoy, do that. And if you can do it at least 3 to 4 times a week, that would be perfect. And 30 minutes, you don't have to do it very often or for a very long time. You can break it down. 30 minutes in the morning, 30 minutes in the late afternoon, and especially now that we have nice climate outside. So it's a really good opportunity for you to exercise and just get out all of that frustration out of your body. You'll find that you sleep better and that you are going to have less muscle aches. Connect to people who bring you comfort. Being around people who are positive energy, who talk about things that you have in common, and not people who are so negative and weigh a lot of problems upon you. You need to make sure that you are connecting with people who are good for your soul. Schedule mental breaks. Now, mental breaks can be anything from a crossword puzzle, a word search, Candy Crush. You can do something that doesn't take a lot of effort, but it's a good mental break. So schedule those throughout the day. And if you work, you have the opportunity to do that. If you're working in front of a computer, a mental break will be 0 electronics for 5 to 10 minutes throughout the day. So that would mean going outside, eating lunch outside, talking to somebody on the phone. You can be reading a book, something, any kind of a mental break. So you can actually do something like, journalizing, and it's something very simple, very quick. It shouldn't take more than 5 or 10 minutes. You can also do any of these coloring activities. I know it sounds like coloring for adults. It's actually very pleasant for a lot of individuals just to be doing something that's really constant and easy. And again, no computers, no electronics. Establishing a bedtime routine is something that I teach everybody. If you are a newborn all the way up to being an older person. Most of us have terrible bedtime routines. We are on the phone, we're watching TV, we're constantly being connected to different things. Disconnect from electronics. You should do it 1 hour, at least 1 hour before bedtime. So that would mean getting yourself ready for bed. You can do any kind of a meditation. You can read a book. You can write in a journal. So you can do anything that is going to, again, help you to disconnect. So, journaling is a really wonderful opportunity for you to just let out all of these worries and concerns or stressors that you have in your mind to help you sleep at night. So that's a really good bedtime routine to establish. Following a healthy diet. Whenever I say the word diet, people are like, oh, the 4-letter word, diet. I'm not talking about getting on a diet. Diet is anything that you put into your mouth. So please make sure that you follow something that is low in sugar, not a lot of processed foods. You'd be surprised how much our diet will actually influence our mood. We will actually worsen our symptoms if we consume a lot of sugar, a lot of caffeine, processed foods, alcohol. So be very careful about the consumption. I already talked about meditation and prayer and journaling. It really is something to incorporate, and you don't have to do it on a daily basis, but when you do it sporadically throughout your week, it really helps to relieve some of that stress. Mindfulness is something where we connect to the present. We use our senses. We are smelling the air or baking and enjoying the baking, cooking and enjoying the cooking process. We are listening to music. We are reading a book and have a scented candle on the side. It could be sitting outside in your porch, listening to the wind blow and just rocking back and forth, watching people, walking. We can still do that. So sometimes mindfulness is just being able to sit, be still, and just listen to our surroundings so that we can enjoy the present moment and not be so worried about what might happen, what I have to do. Engage in some constructive hobby. This is a great time to be picking up a hobby. Crocheting, woodworking, building models, there's photography. There's so many different hobbies that so many of us can enjoy. And doing that once, twice a week is something that maybe a lot of us can do, particularly on the weekends. And I already talked about the importance of connecting with nature, going outside and really connecting with nature, getting some vitamin D is so helpful as well. So I have these different apps that are free. We always like free apps, right? And these are different ones that can help relieve stress. They provide different types of techniques. Some help us with the deep breathing, the diaphragm breathing, which is really important when we take really deep breaths down into our diaphragm. That's a wonderful way to relieve stress immediately, and you can do it anywhere. You can do it in your car. You could do it if you're sitting in a waiting area. You can do it anywhere, and it's really something that is effective, and it helps you just calm down and, again, regain that presentness and that mindfulness. Some of these are just meditation, so listening to different types of music that's relaxing, that's calming, imaginary, visualizing nice scenes. So give it a shot and see which ones you like. So I'm going to end with, when should you seek help? Many of us have experienced so much stress that we are probably at the point where we might need professional help. So this is when you seek professional help. When you're unable to go through your daily routine, something is keeping you from waking up, something is keeping you from showering, from eating, from working, from engaging with your children, engaging with a family member. So when something is stopping your daily routine, there's something wrong. The feeling of hopelessness. So that's really important, because we might be then getting into the point of depression. Drastic changes in mood and behavior. We have the irritability and the mood swings, and for the most part, that's kind of normal for stress. But we're talking about drastic changes that it's almost like you're unrecognizable. That's not normal. Uncontrollable emotional outbursts. So when you're actually reacting in ways that maybe are turning people off or maybe scaring other individuals, that's definitely a big red flag. Feeling different, that there's something wrong with you, or that you have changed so much. So again, you're really having to pay attention, and sometimes we don't see it, but if the people around you have expressed concern, then really pay attention to that. Sometimes we don't see how much we have changed, and the people around us will notice it a lot faster than we will notice it. When that happens, go to your physician, your regular physician, tell them the symptoms you're experiencing, and they will guide you in the right direction. You may or may not need medication. You may or may not need a therapist. Sometimes we just need to address some of these symptoms so they will not worsen and get to a point where we're just in a really bad place. So I appreciate your time. A lot of this information, if not all of this information, is going to be provided with informational handouts. Thank you for your time.